Coming up, it's my first wild encounter with this critter.
A dugite. That's one of the world's most venomous snakes.
A friend in need is a friend indeed.
What's going on?
Oh, well, this rain, it's brought out some creepy crawlies.
And I meet up with the happiest animal on Earth.
Quokkas are everywhere.
This is Rotnest Island. It lies just off the coast of Perth in Western Australia and is famously home to the happiest animal on Earth. If you haven't already heard, let me explain. This is the Quokka, and they've caused an internet sensation over the past few years with people desperate to get a selfie. Given there's believed to be between 8,000 and 12,000 on the island, and they're not what you'd call particularly shy, it's not hard to get the perfect shot. Quokkas aren't the only animals living on the island, of course. There's plenty more, and I've got the rest of the day to see what I can find. These inland saltwater lakes provide a perfect habitat for a number of bird species. Banded stilts are endemic to Australia, and there's a healthy population that calls Rotnest home. They, like all other waders, come here to feed on brine shrimp. Australian shelducks can be found in pairs across the island. For me, they're one of the most beautiful ducks. Over on the mainland, they nest in hollows, but here on Rotnest, they've learned to adapt. Rock crevices are their favoured locations, but they're also known to utilise offshore stacks.
Just here is a tiny freshwater pond. Right behind it is a saltwater lake, and the island's obviously surrounded by saltwater. And when it gets dark tonight, there's a few little frogs that I reckon I can find here. And they didn't swim here across the ocean or fly here. They, in fact, were always here. This island used to be joined to the mainland only 7,000 years ago. When sea levels rose, it cut it off, and the frogs now cling to these little pockets of fresh water. I hope I can find them tonight.
Later in the year, humpback whales will migrate past Rotnest to their breeding grounds off the northwest coast. Today, though, I'm here to see some sunseekers down at the water.
These are Australian fur seals, and they're a bit of a success story back on Rotnest. Now, throughout Australia in the old days, they were overhunted and disappeared from most areas. Numbers got critically low. But now, they're starting to move out of the southern parts of Australia, like South Australia and Tasmania, and repopulate areas like Rotnest Island, where they once were. They're in here because they can rest and relax. They get up on the rocks, splash around in this shallow water, but what they do need to do is get out to the deep ocean to feed. That's when they've got to run the gauntlet of great white sharks.
Down at the western end of the island, this curious little critter has popped its head out for a look around. It's a king skink.
I've tried to get my hands on a few, but they are quick.
17 species of lizard have been recorded on Rotnest, but the king skink is definitely the one you're most likely to see, darting amongst the limestone rocks. These spots of bare sand amongst the foliage are entries to wedge-tailed shearwaters or muttonbird burrows. They migrate north in early May and don't return until August. The months in between just so happen to be the coldest on the island, so the king skinks make use of the shelter. It's fair to say they'd be kicked out come August.
Now, the king skinks are omnivorous, and that means they eat a range of things, from plants to small insects, other little animals, bird eggs. But here in particular at this spot, they're feeding on the succulent plants and their little berries and fruits, and insects opportunistically. Funnily enough, on a small island like this, the king skink is almost top of the food chain. There's an absence of predators. But there is one thing that eats them.
7,000 years cut off from the mainland means some subtle differences have come about in certain species found both here and across the water. One of those species is the king skink's only terrestrial nemesis on Rotnest. That 19-kilometre stretch of water and a few thousand years evolution has led to some genetic differences, but it doesn't mean the dugite snake has lost any of its toxicity. Make no bones about it, If a dugite strikes, it can be fatal. The sandy top layer of the island is just what they like.
Where is he? Where did he go? There he is. Come here, mate. Look at that. That's one of the world's most venomous snakes. It's a dugite, member of the brown snake family. Oh, I've never caught one in my life. Very long and slender, very quick. It's a bit chilly this morning. It's mid-morning. The skinks are up and out, and that's what he's looking for. And this low, heathy country is exactly their preferred habitat. He's about 1 metre, good size. Stay down there, buddy. Hey, there you go. Now, he's pretty settled. I milk a lot of eastern brown snakes and a few dugites at the reptile park. And they're one of the worst snakes to work with. They are so quick and so cranky. But he's pretty settled. You're talking here, one bite from this can spell death, untreated. Now, a proper bandage, anti-venom, and you should be right. I do not want to bite. And they're dark here too. Darker than the ones I've got at the reptile park. I think that's because this island, reasonably cold, even in the warmer months. So that dark coloration just allows them to pick up a bit more of the sun's warmth. Hey mate, don't you look at me there. Oh, having a stare off. There we go. And what a find. Now look in that belly, it's pretty full. Wonder if that's one of the king skinks in there. This is an elapid, a front-fanged venomous snake. Now their fangs aren't that long, so the delivery system is not that good. But if they get a good enough bite and you get a dose of venom, you're in real strife. The venom itself has strong neurotoxins. Basically stop the brain from sending signals to the body, and in turn, you become paralysed. Big eyes, that's because they're diurnal. So they're out hunting through the daytime, and those eyes make really good vision, spotting things like skinks. And there you go, that tongue is flicking. That's how they smell. They don't have a nose like us, they taste the air. Flick that tongue out, draw it back into the top of the mouth, they can get on the scent of a skink, like a king skink. What a beautiful snake. I'm happy to have seen that. It gives me a good appreciation when I work with these at the reptile park, milk them, provide venom for anti-venom. Now I get to see one in the wild. And what better place than Rotnest Island? Off you go, mate. Thank you. Off he goes. I've had a call from a mate, Dan. He's about half an hour away from the reptile park, up in the mountains, researching frogs. And he called me and said since it started raining a few nights ago, he's had some unexpected visitors. Exactly who those visitors are or what they are, he wouldn't tell me. I'm on my way up there now.
Dan is an evolutionary biologist and has been stationed here in the Watagan State Forest for a few months. It was only a few weeks ago that I was last here, checking out some of the research that he's been doing.
G'day, boys.
How you going, Tim?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Hey, g'day. Well, I'm intrigued. What's going on?
Oh, well, this rain, it's brought out some creepy crawlies, your time stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've been looking at your frogs?
Yep, last
and,
4 months.
And some of my mates have turned up.
Yep, I don't want to touch them.
We're talking 8 legs or no legs?
8 legs, mate.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
All right, well, where's the site?
Just up here, mate.
Yeah?
Dan's area of study is the breeding habits of the red-backed toadlet.
So the frogs up here are so unique that the way they breed is pretty unknown to most scientists. So I'm up here to really understanding how these frogs are able to manage to breed successfully in such unpredictable environments.
First trap?
First trap. So
Hey, what's going on? The first thing I notice is you're not putting your hand in there.
there's no way I'm putting my hands in these traps.
I thought we were just looking at frogs.
Yep, frogs plus a million other things.
Look at that.
Mate, this is why you're here.
We checked the first trap and it all makes sense. Now I know why he's got me here. Funnel web spiders are coming out now it's rain and they're getting into his pitfall traps. Not exactly what you want to find when you're researching a toadlet. So you're looking at certainly Australia and possibly the world's deadliest spider.
Jesus.
Hey?
So when that funnel web rears up, you can clearly see how big its fangs are and almost see the venom just dripping off the end of them. So there's no doubt in my mind that if one of those was to latch onto your finger, it'd pump you full of venom.
Now I know why you're not putting your fingers in there.
There's no way.
Look at him. That's a male funnel web spider. It's understandable that Dan doesn't want to bump into funnel webs in his traps. They're Australia and arguably the world's deadliest spider. If he puts his hand in to grab out a toadlet and gets a nip from a funnel web, he's in real strife. If I can use one of your containers and some tongs, I might show you how to catch him safely without putting your fingers in there. I'll take whatever we catch today home, and please, if you get more, we want them.
OK, you can keep them.
I'm really happy to see funnel webs here, and that's because the Reptile Park is the sole supplier of funnel web venom to make anti-venom. Anyone that gets bitten by a funnel web spider in Australia, their life is saved because of the spiders we milk at the Reptile Park. I find a honey pot like this, that's a good day. First, just put a little bit of moist earth. That's enough. And you should just be able to scoop him up without even flicking him.
Oh, yeah.
And then just keep your fingers away. Sometimes they get their legs on the outside, nice and gentle. Put him down in there. One funnel web spider. You think we're going to get a few?
Well, I reckon we can get a few after this rain.
Jeez, I hope so.
Every day I have to be out here sticking my hands in these buckets, possibly risking myself with these funnel web spiders. So if I can learn how to bottle these up and get them back to the reptile park, I'll probably save myself a bite or two.
I'm on Rotnest Island, just off the coast of Perth in Western Australia. I've seen a few quokkas on my travels today, but for the most up-close views, I need to get back across the other side of the island. Darkness falls quick at this time of year, so no time to hang about. Quokkas were in fact the first mammals sighted in Australia by Europeans way back in 1658, when they were described as a wildcat. 40 years later, a Dutch sailor mistook them for rats and named the island Rotnest, which means rat nest. The word quokka itself probably originates from the local Noongar Aboriginal language. They call them Quokka. The mainland wild population has virtually disappeared.
But here, they're able to thrive. There's no feral pests like fox and the cat on mainland, and the quokkas are everywhere.
Quokkas are generally nocturnal, especially during the summer months when they spend most of the day sleeping in the shade of bushes around town or in the dense vegetation across the island. The seeds, grasses, leaves and roots they eat are very low in nutrients, so to get around this, they swallow them whole, then regurgitate a cud, which they chew on to extract the most nutritious parts.
And people are told in their signs, don't feed the quokkas. So they're not necessarily in town because there's food around, but what they are here for is this tree above me. It's a fig tree, and the leaves are edible. When they drop to the ground, the quokkas eat them.
Breeding age comes about between 18 months and 2 years. Gestation takes 27 days, and newborns are 2.5 centimetres long. Quite big for a marsupial. Just one is born each season, and it will remain in its mother's pouch suckling continuously for the first 26 to 30 weeks. At around 6 months, the joey will start to come and go until it's too big for its mother's pouch. It will then stay by her side for another couple of months until it's fully weaned. The quokkas are an obvious main attraction to the island.
And what an experience for people to have. I mean, it's not every day you can go somewhere and have a little marsupial like this bounding around in the main streets of town.
But it comes at a cost. Human food is no good for quokkas. They get dehydrated and there's not the kind of nourishment they need from a biscuit or piece of cake. Despite them being so friendly, we need to respect they're wild animals. They're not supposed to be handled and they're certainly not supposed to be abused. Unfortunately, that's what can sometimes happen with an island dependent on tourism. I've enjoyed my time on Rotnest Island. It really does give a hint of what the rest of Australia should be like. I've still got some more critters to see tonight, but I'll be leaving here a happier man. Thanks in no small part to the happiest animal on the planet.
What a wonderful spot.
Just up here, mate.
I'm helping out my mate Dan, a research biologist up here in the Wadigan State Forest.
Nobody home?
Nothing in that one.
Next one.
Continue on.
He needs a hand getting rid of some unexpected guests found in his frog traps. Heavy rains have lured deadly funnel web spiders into these pits.
Anyone home?
All right, let's see what we get in this bucket.
Oh, we've got a frog
Oh, yeah.
and a spider.
Jeez.
We've got both in the same bucket. The first thing that comes to my mind is, have you ever seen a frog hurt from a spider?
Not once.
I think the funnel web venom, I know it's dangerous to humans and invertebrates. Maybe it doesn't affect the frog.
But in the same sense, those frogs have their own toxins that they secrete through their skin that makes them distasteful to predators, so...
An uneasy truce.
Yep, that's it.
I'll get the spider.
Yep, let's get him out of there.
You get your frog. That's another spider for me. I'm a happy boy.
Rightio, now I feel comfortable to put my hand in.
Yeah. Put that in there. What do you got there?
So this is a little male, it looks like. So these ones have a unique ventral marking, so we can tell who's who.
Look at that.
Amazing, isn't it?
The redback toadlet's just beautiful, and it's obvious where they get their name from. But contrasting to that is that Dan flips it over and the pattern on the belly is black and white. And it's like a fingerprint. They're all unique and individual, and that's how he identifies each toadlet.
So we'll process this now. Do you want to be scribed?
Yeah, love to.
Sweet.
3.3 grams.
We'll just get a measurement. Okay. And that's 33 millimetres. All right, that's good. So we'll release this one.
Okay. So just a scratch here's fine?
Yep, that's good.
Last trap.
Oh, one more, see what we get.
Oh, I can already see
Oh,
someone.
there he is.
You got another spider. Come on, buddy. Spider number 3.
Done and dusted.
Well, mate, they're precious to me. Fair income they are. And if you keep catching them now you know how, I'd come up here and pick them up day after day.
Well, I'm sure I can keep them coming.
Yeah, please. Very important for us.
No worries.
I'm happy. I've got 3 spiders. That's not bad for a morning's work. They'll come back with me now to the reptile park and they'll become a part of our venom program. See you, mate.
See you, Tim.
Back at the park, it's time to milk these funnel webs.
He is vicious. He's not going to have any trouble milking. As soon as I touch a leg or he hit that surface, boom, he's up, fangs showing. That's exactly what we want. The Australian Reptile Park is the sole supplier of funnel web antivenom. We keep up to 300 funnel webs at any one time, and that's because it can take up to 1,000 milkings to make 1 ampule of antivenom. Our little mate here today is a male funnel web spider, and although he is much smaller than females, he's 5 times more toxic, which makes him 5 times more dangerous. This is how we extract the venom. So this is a glass cylinder, and this pipe leads to a small vacuum. So what we actually do is when the spider rears up, there we go, there's venom on the end of the fang. There we go, and I've got it. It's only a small amount, but it all adds up. In that is the venom of 1,000 spiders, and we're now sending that off to the Commonwealth Serum Laboratories to be made into antivenom. So now, Dan's redback toadlet research program is helping our life-saving antivenom program. I'm glad he called.
There's a few more critters I want to find before I leave Rotnest Island. Those calls should give you a clue as to what they are.
Look at that. This is called the motorbike frog. And that chorus of males calling behind there is unbelievable. But the sound's not coming from this one because it's a female. I can tell that because the throat's not swollen from croaking. On the inside of these front arms, the males have a little pad like sandpaper to hold onto the females when mating. And lastly, her belly is so full. She's full of eggs. It's time to let her go and get on with her very special business tonight. Here's the second species that we could hear. This is the moaning frog, and it's actually a burrowing species, so they'll live down in a burrow through the dry times or throughout the day. And after a bit of rain, like we've been lucky enough to have this week, they surface to feed and mate. And look at it, it's blown right up with air to try and make itself look as big as possible. I'm not gonna hurt you, buddy. And now he's 3 times fatter than he was when I picked him up. And they do that for a really clever reason. Let's say the main predator on this island is a dugite, brown snake. Now, when the dugite grabs this frog and tries to swallow it, the dugite's mouth isn't big enough to stretch over the body and it can't get around. And I think the frog's thinking, well, maybe he'll let me go. But also, they play dead. Blown right up, motionless. A lot of animals like to eat live prey. If the frog can trick the predator into thinking it's already dead, maybe the predator won't eat him. Very clever.
Now to the third and most elusive of the island's frogs.
You can hear them now, they're all around me. It's a little crinier, a small species of amphibian. But they are really difficult to find. There's hundreds of them here. I've looked for a while and I cannot find them. All 3 of the island's frog species, either caught or heard. That's not bad, and considering they're freshwater frogs on a saltwater island, it's even better. It's time for me to go now. I've had a great day. The main worry is that I trip over a quokka between here and home.